just current events. What do you think? How do you feel about what's going on lately? What's caught your eye?
Other than Ted Cruz going to Cancun.
I know. I mean, I'm not surprised by that, honestly. Oh my God, though. Like, he's
I mean,
just too
this
much.
is the guy. This is the guy who signed on to the insurrection of the Capitol, the attempted
Correct.
coup, and now he says, "Oh, Texans are freezing. My constituent, whatever. I'm out of here."
Oh my God, I know. He's been a shill for Trump, and now he's just. I'm not surprised. Like, I don't need the media to tell me Ted Cruz is like a terrible person slash politician, like, but they're going after him. But yeah, he's bad news.
He is. I mean, you look at me. He had that mayor of that, was it Colorado City, Texas town, who resigned after basically telling the people who were freezing, "Suck it up. It's your fault you didn't prepare. And what, you expect the government to give you handouts?" I mean, he went on this rant and he was saying these things, and it's just like,
Yeah.
of dude, people paid money to utility companies and expect a service in return for that money. The
You're right,
companies were
dude.
not providing that service. STFU,
Like, we don't get our money back if there's a blackout.
right?
I mean, that was actually just a thought that you just gave me, so that was interesting. You're right. Like, we expect it, but oh my God. Okay, so yeah, how do you feel about the whole Texas thing? And I know there's climate change involved, but just at the surface.
Well,
Well,
Texas always felt that they should be their own nation, and you notice that they're not even plugged into the national grid. So, hey, how's that working out for you?
and like you said, the politicians were like, "Oh, we can tough it out. We don't need the government involved."
Right? These are the same politicians who they have their power, their heat on. They got theirs, the hell the rest of us. And when you look at the private companies where this is another example why privatization, no government oversight is a horrible thing,
Right.
because all the company's going to do is what will increase our profits. Well, we have to winterize this stuff. Oh, that costs too much money. Screw it. So yeah, this happens every 10 years. A couple people dying, we can live with that. I mean, that's really their attitude.
I know it is. They don't care.
This is why, such things as like utilities for basic necessities should not be in the hands of private companies.
Because there's a
That
profit
includes,
motive. Yeah.
exactly, that includes heat, electricity, internet.
True. You're right. I know. And these were all like common good things that we all pay for, yet, there's certain types,
But this,
certain companies, yeah,
yeah,
get the
but as you
profit.
said, we don't get a refund
No,
if they, or
that's a
we don't
good
get a
point.
credit or anything like that. I'll give you an example. Like, you take a country like Finland,
Oh my
okay?
God. Yeah.
You know what the typical like their internet is, home internet is a month? What it costs?
Probably less than $10.
No, not that low, but it's like
Okay.
it's like around $30. But you know what their download speed is?
What
It's
is
like
it?
over 150 megs.
Oh my God.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like instantaneous. You click on, boom, there's the page. None of
But
this
they invest in
none of
themselves.
this.
Yeah.
Look at the thing twirling.
Oh, I know.
When you look at it, this is illustrating how the infrastructure of this country is collapsing and is basically in ruins. That
And yeah, go ahead. Go
yeah,
for
and this is the thing that really pissed me off. They're sitting there saying, "See, Green New Deal, it sucks. See, the windmills didn't provide enough electricity. It sucks."
it. I
When
know.
it's really the gas companies. You know,
They're
and
ruthless.
here's the thing with the Republicans. Okay, they on one hand saying, "Oh, windmills will never provide enough electricity," then they turn around and say, "See, when the Green New Deal is the problem."
It's not even implemented. Like, can we get some common sense? Like, yeah, I know. It is a talking point or something. Like, they're just spinning to deflect. It's amazing, but they're ruthless.
And did you hear what AOC went and did?
What did she do?
She set up a GoFundMe. She raised $1 million in relief for Texans.
Wow.
and she's getting slammed.
Of course.
It's
So,
like,
go ahead into that. What's
I'm not seeing any Republicans lifting of, Texan Republicans doing anything to help their constituents. This is person, this is not even her district, and she's helping them out. And people are slamming her. Shut up.
it's like, yeah, it's sad. It's a scapegoat. Boogeyman. They use a boogeyman. It's either Nancy Pelosi or now it's AOC. I mean, it's interesting what they've done with like the bashing the Green New Deal and has nothing to do with this.
Never mind the fact that Congress is not even in session right now. Well, she could have chaired. She could have just, chaired a meeting and released FEMA fund. Blah blah blah. First of all, okay, this person obviously does not know how Congress works. Okay, AOC is not the chairperson of whatever the appropriate committee is. She's a sitting member, but not the chairperson, so she cannot call a meeting. Only the chairperson can, and the governor of whatever the state is the one has to formally request FEMA funds. So she does not have the power to release FEMA funds.
Yeah,
The governor of Texas has to make a request to the U.S. government, and then Joe Biden would approve or not, and then how much.
yeah. It's. I mean, okay, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but like, okay, so you know what? I am gonna go down the rabbit hole because the climate. Okay, time out. Because I was like, all right, because this relates because we have the issue here in California with the blackouts, but it's a different situation. It's more like fires and wind and stuff. But then Texas is like this is kind of like becoming a reoccurring theme. Is like we rely so much on this power, but it's starting to be taken for granted. And then it's interesting, I think this has to do with climate change. I was going to get your input on this because I know like the Gulf air mass is warmer, and then like the polar comes in and like creates like Texas and these states down there, they're like right there where they're gonna get hit, and a lot of moisture's in the air. So I wonder what your take is with the climate crisis and what's going on with Texas. I know they'll say like, what's global warming have to do with this, right? It's snow, but it does. It definitely does have to do with something.
Well, global warming is definitely a contributor to what the
Sorry, climate
situation is
crisis.
now. Because as the Arctic warms, and the Arctic is warming like three now, some say even up to as much as 4 times faster than the rest of the planet. So
Oh,
what that does is it weakens any temperature and therefore pressure gradient, because warm air exerts less pressure than cold air. So you have a lesser pressure gradient, a lesser temperature gradient. The jet stream is no longer constrained at high latitude. Now it changes from being zonal and strong, where it keeps that cold air locked up over high latitude. It now, because the gradient is very weak, that the jet stream becomes more meridional, so it starts becoming wavy and dipping down, and it it dips all the way down, and hey, let's bring on some cold air with us. But here's the other thing: you also have to look at what's going on with the Arctic Oscillation. The
right.
Arctic Oscillation right now is at an extremely high negative numbers, like one of the highest negative numbers ever calculated. And it's like minus 5.6 or something like that. Well, basically,
Wow.
when the Arctic Oscillation has negative numbers, the jet stream is meridional. And the more negative, the more meridional, meaning the more it dips down. When the Arctic Oscillation has positive numbers, the jet stream is more zonal. So you
Right.
got negative, very high negative numbers here for the AO. And guess what? The jet streams are dipping away south. And it just happens to travel the path of least resistance, which is go across the Canadian Shield and down to the plains. You don't have mountainous
Right.
interruptions and that kind of stuff there. Coupled with that is that the North Atlantic Oscillation also has very negative values. And when you look at that, that perpetuates the meridional flow across, Europe and that kind of stuff. The Middle East got snow the other day.
I mean, what's
I mean,
I know. It's
the Middle
insane.
East got snow.
That's when you know something's wrong. Like there's definitely
Right?
something's wrong. They're saying like the freeze in Texas. Oh, we've never seen this before. Like we're still doing this. Like they're acting surprised. I mean, we are surprising on the surface level, like, oh my God, no, they don't have power. But I mean, this is starting to become a predictable thing with the
It's
science, like you said.
so yeah, you can say the severity of this is due to human change in the climate.